And so today we're going to be talking about mastering post-grad well-being, what that can look like as you're heading into final season and as you navigate your job search journey. And so just a few friendly reminders, we did start recording. And so this is a recorded webinar. It's going to live on our Office of Care and Civility YouTube page. So your camera and your microphone are turned off just for safety and liability reasons, but feel free to type any questions you have in the chat box or in the Q&A, and we'll check in on them as we go through the presentation. The presentation is always available on request if you have any interest in looking at it after we record today. And so we'll go over Be Well and Wellbeing. We'll go over some engaging in wellbeing activities, and that's going to look at as you head into final season and navigating your job searches, and then maintaining a new form of wellbeing post-graduation. And we'll start off with, what does well-being mean to you? So you can feel free to leave any comments or definitions in the chat. One of the things is well-being is very personal, and so it's going to look different from person to person. And so if you have anything specific that you want to say, feel free to leave it in the chat. And we'll compare it to what well-being actually is defined as and what it can look like across the board. So well-being is considered a multifaceted concept. It's essentially just being in the state of comfortability, healthiness, or happiness. One of the most widely cited definitions of well-being is that well-being can be understood as how people feel and how they function both on different levels, as well as how we evaluate our lives as a whole. So this characterization points to well-being having multiple elements within and across the broad categories of emotional, behavioral, cognitive, and relational benefits. And so, so somebody just said mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual health. And so those are actually some of the components of well-being. Wellness encompasses 8 mutually interdependent dimensions, and depending on what model or article you're reading, it can be 7 to 8 dimensions. We're going to focus on 8 just because they're a little bit more specific. And so you'll have physical, intellectual, emotional, social, spiritual / mindfulness, professional, financial, and environmental. One of the great things about well-being is that while you have all these dimensions, you don't necessarily have to have them all equally balanced. So well-being, like I said earlier, it's very personal, it's very unique to you. And so you want to be able to aim and strive for a personal harmony that feels most authentic to you. We all naturally have our own priorities, approaches, aspirations, and views on what it means to live life fully and be well. However, you do want to make sure that you're not neglecting one of these components largely over time, because that can have a negative effect on the rest of your well-being. And so it's a good little juggling act sometimes. And so Be Well, if you're not aware, is our 5-year quality enhancement plan. So what that means, it's an initiative across the campus that focuses on increasing our student well-being and resiliency, especially as you face challenges or any kind of issues here on campus, as well as you head into the professional fields. And so Be Well incorporates well-being tools into all of our events in our HSC curriculum. You might recognize Be Well as a Canvas module in your courses. And Be Well uses the domains of the HSC well-being model as our foundation for supporting you, our HSC students, and your well-being while you attend HSC and as you enter into your professional careers. This model is used to help teach you skills and tools for enhancing your well-being. And so those well-being tools include information to teach about burnout, resiliency, emotional intelligence, and all the other areas of well-being. Today, we're obviously going to be focusing a little bit more on preventing some job search fatigue and graduating with burnout. It's really important, especially during times of increased stress, to tune into your body's natural state. And so what that means is you want to be aware of how you typically feel and act during less stressful times versus more stressful times. And so, I'm sorry, people are screaming right outside my office. But finals and graduation are very stressful times, especially when you're trying to map out your future post-graduation or you're dealing with your own personal stripes. So while the next couple of months may feel overwhelming, it's imperative to be able to take breaks and practice mindful self-care tools. We're going to go over a few of our favorite well-being tools or activities that we like to incorporate during finals or just seasons of stress, and hopefully you can find something to incorporate into your own well-being routine. First off, one of the most important things to us is our community. So being able to reach out to others is going to really help with lowering rates of anxiety and depression, increasing self-esteem and empathy, and promoting more trusting and cooperative relationships. So our relationships with families, friends, coworkers, and community members have major impacts on our health and well-being. When we're socially connected and able to have those stable and supportive relationships, we're more likely to make healthy choices and to have better mental and physical health outcomes. One of the most effective ways to manage the stress and anxiety is by actually talking to someone you trust. So that can be a friend, a family member, coworker, classmate, or even somebody like a member of the care team here at HSC. Just talking to somebody can provide immense relief and support, and that can look different from person to person. So we're very digital these days. And so maybe sometimes you're going to have to make a video call or message somebody on social media or even just text them. Care team's a great example of having a 24/7 just reaching point. So you can call them, you can text them, you can even email them if you're feeling a little bit stressed out or anxious, or you're looking for resources and you don't want to reach out to a family member or a friend just yet. Our next tool is nurturing your physical health. So there's a couple different layers to physical health, of course. You don't want to eliminate well, you can't eliminate or stop stress, but you do want to be able to manage it. So practicing healthy lifestyle behaviors within your physical health is really important to coping with stress. So a few of those examples are going to include nutrition. So you want to limit stress-inducing foods such as large amounts of caffeine, sugar, and saturated fats. You want to be careful with something that we consider comfort foods or things that are going to leave you feeling more lethargic than energized. Next is physical exercise. You want to make time for at least 30 minutes of exercise 3 to 5 days per week. One of the things I always remind students is that being physically active doesn't mean you have to be consecutively active. You don't have to schedule out an hour, 30 minutes every day at the gym. You can go for 3 10-minute walks throughout the day or throughout the week. You can set aside time if you have time between classes, between, school and work, or just when you have those off periods, just taking time to stretch your body out, go for a walk, maybe even just climbing up some stairs and just getting your heart rate pumping can be really great at energizing you, a lot more than like caffeine or anything like that. And then lastly, and the most important one to me, is getting enough sleep. So you want to get 7 to 10 hours of sleep, and that's going to depend on each individual person. And so I know for women, we need more sleep than men do. And so it's imperative to actually be able to assess your health and assess how you're feeling and get some sleep, especially because I think it's often forgotten that sleep is very, very important to our memory and to storing memories and study materials. There's going to come a point where you're cramming for finals that it's just not going to be, nurturing. You're not going to be able to store any more knowledge, and you've just got to take a nap or walk away and give yourself a break. And lastly, during finals and even during, your entire program here at HSC, I feel like hobbies are often dropped or forgotten, and we just don't make time for them. But hobbies can actually provide a really great break from routine, and they're an outlet which everyone needs, and it's something to look forward to at the end of the day. They help us unwind from a stressful day, and they can calm our minds, therefore decreasing anxiety. Hobbies also keep us in good physical and mental shape, which improves body image and self-esteem. Hobbies also provide us with an opportunity to be mindful. If you're not aware, mindfulness is being aware of the present moment while also acknowledging and accepting your feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations. The focus that many hobbies demand actually lend themselves to mindfulness, which is a really great tool and practice to have in your back pocket, especially during times of stress. So being present in the moment, it's a great way to distract your minds from our busy lives. They help to fight mental and physical fatigue, which is crucial for our mental health. Another benefit of hobbies is the promotion of creativity and self-expression, and they also generate a great sense of accomplishment and reward, which again boosts your self-esteem and that engagement piece in your life. So I'm going to hand it off over to Nyjah. She's going to help you navigate the job search journey with some tools from Career Readiness.
Yes, and tying that into well-being, it is extremely important during the job search process or job search journey that you're giving yourself enough time. So going over to the next slide. Let's see. You want to give yourself 6 to 12 months before graduation, just to kind of explore your career options, to be able to build your network, build your brand, work on your resume and your cover letter. Waiting a month prior to graduation can really cause a lot of extra stress on your body, on your mental health, with kind of not being prepared, because a lot of the times it takes anywhere between 3 to 6 months to go through the job search process, sometimes a little bit longer depending on what company you are applying to, and depending on their interviewing process. So 3 to 6 months before graduation, you want to be researching companies, you want to be attending career fairs, applying for internships, or if you don't have a lot of work experience, entry-level positions, to be able to build that experience and also build your network. 1 to 3 months before graduation, you want to make sure that you're finalizing like your resume, which you can use the Career Center to help you with your resume, cover letter, CV, start interviewing. We have Big Interview, which is a really great resource that we have where you can go in and practice interviewing if that's not something that you feel is comfortable with, and then going back in and just kind of reviewing your video or your recording and working on your strengths and weaknesses and what you want to mention when they talk about a time that you had to deal with conflict. And so just practice is extremely important. Preparation is extremely important so it doesn't feel as overwhelming as you're going into this new chapter of your life. And then after graduation, you want to, if you still haven't found a job, you want to make sure you stay persistent, follow up on applications, maybe change your job search strategy. If you aren't hearing back, we also are utilizing resources to see if it's your resume or to see what is not working to where you aren't hearing back. And then also noting that the Career Center is here for you even after you graduate. So you can graduate and be 5 years down the road, and you can always come back to your Career Center and have us review your CV, resume, do mock interviews with you, anything professional development related within your job search journey. So understanding your goals. When this is the foundation of really understanding what your long-term goals, what is the big picture? What are your aspirations? Being able to find mentors, being able to look at people that are in the positions that you want to be in later down the road and even seeing what they did or what career route they took. I do want to note that everybody's career journeys is going to be extremely different, but it never hurts to find mentors or network with people that can help give you the blueprint along the way. And then again, when you're going into applying for jobs, making sure that you are looking into companies or hospitals or roles that are specific to your interests and your skill set. And then being able to kind of do some self-reflection on your strengths, on your passions, even noticing what your weaknesses are to be able to work on those and build those up into strengths as you're navigating your job search journey. So going into building your brand, which is something that we talked about a little bit in that timeline, right? You want to work on building your brand. And that is what people say about you when you are not in the room. It's being able to network, it's being able to build relationships, having a strong LinkedIn profile. That is the social media platform of professional networking. It's your resume, cover letter, highlighting your education and experiences. Sometimes we put our resume down and we don't look at it, and we've gained so many different experiences and had so many different opportunities that you can incorporate into your resume or talk about into your in your interviews that we just completely forget about. And then making sure that you are customizing your documents to the job descriptions. A lot of the times, especially now with the algorithms, a lot of people's resumes or applications are being tossed out because they don't have specific keywords that are needed in the application. So it's just making sure that you're building your brand all the way from your LinkedIn, your professional, making sure you're cleaning up your social media, making sure that you are kind of taking the time to do these very important, intricate things that will help you get that job that you're looking for. Going in, networking. Networking, you never know what door will open. Never be afraid to go up and speak to people, go up to create professional connections, making sure that you're attending career fairs, alumni events or industry conferences, having a business card available so that you can pass them out. Or if you see someone again that's in the role that you dream of, going up to them and letting them know that where they are in life is somewhere that you aspire to be, and asking them out to lunch, and just kind of talking to them and picking their brain a little bit about how they got to where they are currently. Utilizing LinkedIn is a really honestly great way to be able to connect with people, especially people that you don't know, or if you're applying for jobs, they have a section to where you can reach out to recruiters, and making sure that you're going in there, messaging them, letting them know that you put your application in, that you're super excited about the opportunity, highlighting your skills and what you bring to the table. So, because sometimes that'll also pull you out from the pool of the applicants, and what you do want to do is make sure that they remember who you are, or that you can make yourself set apart, or set yourself apart from the other applicants. And going back into researching companies, know what you're walking into. Just like when you go into an interview, they're interviewing you, you're also interviewing them. So research who the supervisor would be, understand the mission and values and cultures of the company, of the place that you're interested in applying to, making sure that you evaluate company reviews, looking at testimonials and what they say about it, because what you don't want to do is get into a role and it be something that you thought that you wanted and it impacts your mental health, or it's not, it ends up being somewhere where you're not happy. And so just making sure that you're doing the research into that company, or that organization that you're applying for, just like you're showing up and answering the questions, and they're making sure that you're a good fit for them as well. And then make sure you're targeting organizations that align with your career goals and values, and it's somewhere that you can grow and build, and they have professional development opportunities for you, because you want to make sure that you can move and grow in the position as well and not be stagnant. So research is extremely, extremely important. Tailoring your application. So a little bit going back into what I was saying earlier, I do want to mention that jobscan.com is a really great website that you can go in and put your application in, and then put the job description that you're applying for, and it'll pull out keywords to make sure that your application isn't getting tossed in their algorithm. You also want to make sure that it's ATS friendly, so that they are able to process it. So nothing super extravagant. You don't need super bright colors. Your picture, you do want to make sure that you have all of your experiences outlined, but also very, very simple. You want to make sure, again, you're highlighting relevant experience and skills that match the job requirements, those keywords that I spoke about earlier that are in the job description. I do also want to say, within the job search process, so that you're not overwhelming yourself and it's not really impacting your mental health a whole lot, make sure that you're pacing yourself. Don't feel like you have to apply for 20 jobs every single day. Give yourself a goal of how many jobs that you want to apply for. I would say maybe an example would be maybe like 3 a day. If you're feeling overwhelmed, at least try and get 1 in a day. Make sure that you're tracking it. But do know that what's for you will be for you. So do not let the job search process overwhelm you. Do know that the doors that's going to open for you, it will open, and make sure that you're utilizing your network. Make sure you're utilizing people in your corner, professors, to help you with this process as well. Interview preparation, right? A lot of people do not like interviewing. It is overwhelming. It feels very much like you're being put on the spot, but there are ways that you can prep for interviews before you go into them so that you feel confident. Confidence is key. The interviewer doesn't know what you don't know. And just going into that interview knowing that really can help save you in the long run. There are different types of interviews to prepare for, behavioral, case-based, technical interviews, and each one will be a little bit different. You do want to be able to practice common interview questions to be able to develop concise, compelling responses. You want to keep the interviewer engaged and be able to walk away from the interview remembering who you are. When you do the research of the company, and you understand the industry trends, you understand the mission and the values of the position that you're applying for, the interviewer that's engaging with you will know that you took the time and did the research and that you're truly interested in that role. And it's a great way to walk away from an interview. It also helps with those nerves of really going into not feeling as confident. I would also say if you're interviewing virtually, a key tip is make sure that you're looking into the camera when you're answering the question, and then you can look down at the screen when you're listening to the answer. But that creates that engaging piece. When you are in person, you want to make sure that you are paying attention to your body language and not doing anything that's super distracting. If you're a person that speaks with your hands, that's okay. You just want to make sure that you keep it very subtle. And then you are catching yourself if you are a person that uses filler words like and like a lot. Just take a moment, take a breath, think about what you want to say, and finish out your response. Follow up and thank you notes. A lot of people don't know that this is something that will really help an employer kind of make a decision about you sometimes, or make you stand out from other applicants. Sending a personalized thank you note within 24 hours, even if you don't get the job, it's completely okay. Still follow up with an email or a thank you note to express gratitude. Mention something that you spoke about in the interview. This is really a great opportunity to leave a positive impression on for you. And again, within the interview process, it's about making sure that you stand out from other applicants or from other interviewer or the other candidates that they're interviewing. So sending that follow-up thank you notes is a great way to stand out amongst other applicants. I highly, highly suggest it. Managing rejections and feedback. This is something that a lot of people, when it comes to the interview process, will start to feel defeated. And it can impact your mental health or make you feel very discouraged. Just know that what's for you will be for you. So if you get a rejection email, that's probably something in the long run where it wasn't for you, and it's okay. So just understand that rejection is a natural part of the job search process. You're not going to get every job that you interview for, and that's completely okay. And if you do, then that's even great. You just have a lot of decisions to make. But do know that it is okay. Be open to seeking feedback from recruiters or interviewers to identify areas of improvement. And what that looks like is when you get asked the question at the end, like, do you have any questions for me? If that's something that you feel comfortable with, say, thank you for the interview. I have a question. I do want to know, was there any areas of improvement for my interview that you would like to, or that you would like to give me feedback on? Or is there any area in my resume that you have a question about? Just so you can get that feedback for when you are moving forward into the next interview. And stay resilient, learn from setbacks, and continue pursuing your career goals. Know that one rejection or a few rejections won't stop you from where you're going to be later in life. And you'll see the bigger picture at the end of retirement, and you'll understand why each experience, how it correlates with one another. But it's okay if you receive rejections. Don't let that defeat you. On your career, on your journey to finding a career, know that the job search process can be challenging, but with careful preparation and perseverance, you can successfully navigate the journey, and you can do it without feeling overwhelmed. You can do it with confidence. You can do it with resilience. Remember to leverage your strengths, your network effectively, and stay focused on your career goal. Know that what your strengths are, what you bring to the table, what your past experiences that you've had, and know how to leverage that. And just remember that you got this. Remember that you have resources here on campus. The Career Center here is for you to help you throughout your job search process, even 20, 30 years down the road if you decide to change your journey. So know that we are here for you, and yeah, we got this.
Thanks, Nyjah. So like Nyjah said, so job searching with resiliency can be a little bit difficult and overwhelming. So we're going to go into post-graduation blues. So that is actually a thing, post-graduation depression. Graduation doesn't just mark the end of your college life or your university life. It's a great gateway into an array of new experiences, but also those challenges, and each is going to bear a significant impact on your health and your mental health. And so a lot of our students, they understand that stress is unavoidable, and we all experience stress in some form throughout our lives, but there are a few coping strategies and healthy habits that can both reduce stressors that come with graduating and job searching, as well as protecting against any negative effects that stress can have on your body. You may find that you're going to have to experiment with different approaches until you find something that works for you, because of course, well-being and de-stressing activities are going to be completely unique and personal to yourself. So your first task post-graduation is to simply take a break. And that amount of rest is dependent on who you are as an individual and what you need. So if you don't sleep well, you might feel a little bit angry, irritable, or stressed, or you may require more frequent breaks, or like brain breaks while you're studying. It might be a good indicator that you're in need of a little bit of a break, and you might be experiencing some chronic stress or burnout. And so recovering from really studying or graduation is going to actually help reduce your stress. It's going to improve your productivity, and it's going to enhance your decision-making skills so that you can enter the professional field in your best capacity. And so some tools for breaks, and these are going to depend on the length of time you've got. So you can practice gratitude. So while you're studying, while you're searching for jobs, while you're sending in those applications, feel free to take a moment to just express some gratitude for yourself or some mindfulness. And so that can just be simply saying, I've got this. Tomorrow's a new day. I can do this. Good things are coming my way. Just things to help remind yourself that you're going to be okay and you're in a good spot. You can also try some breathing exercises or meditations. There's free apps like Headspace. You can find stuff on YouTube. We have a couple of yoga videos on our own YouTube and some breathing exercises that are really great. And they can be anywhere from, 20 minutes to 30 minutes. So just depending on how long you need. And then again, cultivating your healthy habits. You really want to be able to, like when you're studying for finals and you're getting prepared, you want to be able to have those tools in your back pockets that are really going to help you build up that resiliency and those well-being just foundations. And then of course, practice sleep hygiene. I'm a very big advocate for practicing good sleep hygiene. Financial health is a really uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people, and for, obvious reasons. Financial stress is it's the tension and the anxiety that comes from facing your financial uncertainties or difficulties. And it can also encompass the fear of not having enough money to meet your needs. And this can include worrying about paying bills on time, saving for the future, or dealing with debt. And maybe right now in this current moment, your financial health isn't something that's a big source of stress for you, or maybe you're putting it off until after you graduate to think about it. But financial independence, it's going to be a curveball for many, especially with the stress of finding a job, paying back student loans, and just navigating life in general. But balancing the need to manage your personal finances while maintaining your health and your mental health can be daunting. The financial aid office actually offers post-graduation resources for students. And so they offer information on budgeting and money management. So those are going to look like little Excel spreadsheets or just simple PDF files, a loan repayment calculator for student loans, and then videos on financial tips. And one of my favorite resources that financial aid has is a form that kind of walks you through how to save for a big purchase. And so that can be like, a car, a house, or even paying off the bulk of your student loans. They have some really awesome and kind of underutilized resources online that you should take a look at. And so you can scan that QR code that's on the screen, or you can just Google UNT HSC financial aid, and then they have a little banner that'll say financial resources and then graduating students. And lastly, we're all about community here in the Be Well office. And so staying connected can be super hard, especially post-graduation. Emotional support is an important protective factor for dealing with your life's difficulties, and loneliness has actually been associated with a wide variety of health problems, including high blood pressure, diminished immunity, cardiovascular disease, and cognitive decline. A lot of our students' social isolation can often follow them post-graduation. You've been surrounded by the same people for however the length of your program is, and often there's a large chance you're not going to see them in that same capacity again. And so community is so important to our well-being. It's going to really help promote brain health and prolong life. And there's a couple of different ways. Of course, this isn't an exhaustive list of how to make friends or find your community post-graduation, but if you're curious, it's a really great place to start. And so you can join community clubs or groups. One of the great things, and Nyjah touched on this too, is in the digital age, there's so many different online groups and platforms where you can connect with people. So if you're moving to a new city, a new town, or just a new area, if you can go on Facebook or even LinkedIn will have opportunities of just searching up that city and just community groups or running groups or, cooking groups or et cetera, et cetera. And then also reconnecting with old friends or even learning how to maintain connections with your graduating class. And so if you're moving back home, that might be, reconnecting with somebody that you went to undergrad with or high school with that you've missed out on. Connecting or maintaining connection with your graduating class can look like setting up, a monthly Zoom call or a weekly coffee date with somebody. You can also network on digital sites like LinkedIn to stay connected to any mentors or faculty or staff or classmates that you've met along the way that you want to see grow. And then for volunteer within your community, volunteerism is a highly underutilized approach to well-being. It can offer a lot of, it promotes like those happy chemicals in your brain. It also promotes community. It's a really great, well-rounded way of getting connected with others. And then lastly, these are some of the accessible HSC resources that you will remain having access to post-graduation. And so our virtual relaxation room, we actually have faculty and staff who say that they use this to take breaks. And so our virtual relaxation room has a lot of really great meditation videos, mindful videos, but also just some fun little random break tools that you can use. Like there's one where you can make your own galaxy. And it's a little bit of a rabbit hole to go down, but that one's a lot of fun. So you can scan the QR code or you can just head over to the OCC webpage for student resources and it's linked there. You can also follow our Be Well on Instagram. We post a lot of study tools. We'll post a lot of just well-being tools that are related to the HSC foundations or HSC well-being model foundations. And so we're constantly active there. We're constantly promoting student well-being and resiliency there. Our OCC YouTube page is always accessible. That is where this webinar is going to live. We also have our brand new Be Well student-led podcast on Wellbeing Unlocked, where we walk through our public health student is actually interviewing all HSC students on all things well-being and being well at HSC and beyond. And it's a really great resource to have, especially as you're graduating and you're kind of feeling a little bit lost or nervous. Career Readiness has an awesome LinkedIn group. I love it. They post articles, they post their own videos and podcast episodes all about career readiness and professional development. And so that's a great one, especially if that's the only thing you take away from this is follow them because they're going to post a lot of things about professional development and how it can be connected to your well-being and your community building, which is a great resource to have in your back pocket. Career Readiness also has job market resources. And so that's located on their website. And that one just kind of walks you through a couple of different tools and avenues to take because the job market, it does feel like is ever changing and evolving every single day. And so Career Readiness has done a really great job of maintaining what that can look like and what those new and adaptive tools are. And lastly, financial aid, I want to plug them again. They have some really great post-graduation resources that I think, again, are highly underutilized. And financial health is such a stressor for everybody that I think it's a really great tool to keep in mind, especially as you graduate and you move on to your professional capacity. But yeah, we thank you. If there's any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat and Nyjah and I will stick around and answer them. Cool. So somebody asked if a presentation is required for my interview process. Can I do a test run with the Career Readiness Center?
I was muted. Yes, you can. Just schedule an appointment through Civility, or I will put in chat my email. And just send me an email if the time doesn't work with you. And I'll find a time that's available.
Mm-hmm. Our next question, are there any specific strategies for managing imposter syndrome or feelings of inadequacy that recent graduates may experience as they enter new professional environments?
That is a really great question. I think with imposter syndrome, that is something that a lot of people deal with, even people in leadership positions. So I would say just know that you're not alone. Don't allow yourself to stand in front of yourself from what is to come. But I think that affirmations are always a really good strategy to kind of working on imposter syndrome, making sure that like every day you're speaking life into yourself or really highly, and to like knowing that you're able to achieve the things that you have set for yourself. And then not allowing, I would say, if there is a position that you want to apply for, but you don't feel like you meet all the requirements for it, still apply for the position because you never know what other experiences that you have that are transferable for that specific role.
All right. And we got a couple more. So could you share some insights on the importance of establishing healthy boundaries in both personal and professional relationships as a recent graduate?
Okay. Sophia, are you going to answer that question?
Answer it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of the things we talk about is boundaries. We talk about it constantly in our office. I think boundaries often get a little bit misunderstood. There's something that you do in response to somebody else. And so if you're talking about, job search and having a boundary with yourself, I always, when I was going through it, said, I would do 10 to 15 applications and then I would stop for the day. And that was something, so I didn't get overwhelmed. I wasn't, fatigued by the end of it. It was just something that helped kind of uplift my well-being. But then with like other people, just letting your professional, community know when you walk in, on your first day or in the interview process, what your standards are. Like Nyjah said, like you want to match with a place that has the same values, and just understanding as you do. And so I think Nyjah and I can agree HSC is a great example of a institution that will understand your boundaries and work with you and support you. And so just finding something that you don't have to be excited to go to work to every day, but you don't want to be bogged down and you don't want to dread it. And so I think boundaries play a really, really important part in that.
Yeah, I would say boundaries are extremely important. Making sure that you advocate for yourself. Don't be afraid to speak up and really kind of voice any concerns that you have or communication. That's extremely important in a professional setting. And just, I would also say making sure that you take time to yourself. So don't be like overworking yourself to the point of you're finishing work at 10, 11 o'clock at night. Have healthy goal or healthy boundaries of like when you're away from work, you're away from work and you're focusing on yourself or your personal life, and really separating personal life and work. That is extremely important. There's another one. Yes, especially within our LinkedIn account, you can see when we have events that are coming up. All of our events, especially virtual workshops, are available to alum. So if that is something that you are interested in attending, we do have that available to you. You can see on Engaged when we have events that are coming up.
All right. Well, that was great. If there's no more questions, we'll go ahead and end the webinar. And just a reminder, we are posting the video to our HSC OCC, so Office of Care and Civility, YouTube page. If you follow us on Instagram, I'll remind you over there. And then Nyjah will post it to Career Readiness, website and their LinkedIn. And so as long as you're following us somewhere, you will have access to this webinar, and I'll email out the PowerPoint to those of you who want it.
Thank you so much for everyone who attended.
All right, y'all have a great day.